Hi, my name is Bryan Jones. I was diagnosed in 1984 with HIV and AIDS. For years, I lived like in the dark, like Anne Frank. Then one day, a light came on, and I decided to be open and candid about my status. Today, I'm an HIV/AIDS advocate and activist, speaking and performing nationally around the country. I currently do a performance piece called AIDS and I Die Slowly. Through short narratives, characters, and songs, I tell my 29-year journey of AIDSism, using it as a tool to educate and inform others about HIV and AIDS.
Do you have any regrets now looking back on your lifestyle and what has happened to you?
No, I pattern my life. I don't live life in regrets. I don't live my life in what ifs. I should have went left and turned, instead of turning right. I should have had sex or not have sex. But quite frankly, I think I contracted HIV through a blood transfusion. And that's not to say that, we do know that most of transmission is sex, unprotected sex, but I say that to try to bring some of the shame and discrimination out of it, because everybody thinks that people, when they contract HIV and AIDS, that they're dirty or they've done something wrong, but it's not even about that. It's about trying to change our human condition and being compassionate with each other. So I don't live life in regrets because I am happy with who I am today. And it took me going through all that I went to make me someone that I love today.
Since being diagnosed in the 1980s, do you think stigma has changed for the good or for the bad towards people with HIV?
Well, a lot of people think that we've come a long way, and we have come a long way, but that the stigma and discrimination is just as prevalent now as it was then. And in many ways, it's maybe worse because people are thinking, they're in the mindset that we have new medication and people are doing better and it's like a chronic illness, it's a manageable illness. True enough, it is manageable. We do have better medication, but the numbers are still growing and people are still becoming infected at alarming rates. So in a lot of ways, we are taking steps backwards because people are refusing to get tested and are refusing to use condom, practice safe sex, and have open and candid discussions about HIV and AIDS with their family, friends, and loved ones.
How much have you grown since you found out that you had HIV/AIDS?
Well, I've grown tremendously. I was diagnosed in 1984, so I am 53 years old. I have been living longer with HIV and AIDS than I have been living without it. Before, I was in denial and very closed about my status. Now I'm very open about my status, and I speak and travel nationally talking about HIV and AIDS.
Has any family or close friends treated you any differently?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because everybody's not going to get along anyway.
So what brought you in today?
It wasn't like I had a choice to be brought into this. I found myself hiding and being afraid because the stigma and discrimination was so great. Then one day I decided to take back my life and take back my power by becoming open and very candid about my status. And I decided that it was not just about me. So I put aside my own pride and vanity and all those things and decided to make a difference by speaking out about HIV and AIDS.
Has your outlook on life changed, and if so, how?
Yeah, my life has changed for the better. I mean, because when I was diagnosed in 1984, I was waiting to die. And quite frankly, I am living with HIV and AIDS as opposed to dying with it. And that's how I felt in the past, that I was dying with this illness. Now I feel like I'm living with it, and I manage it. It doesn't manage me.
How long did it take you to become positive, like have a positive attitude towards having AIDS today?
I realized that the only way I was going to survive was I had to change my mindset. Because wherever the mind goes, the body will follow. And I have watched too many people I volunteered at a nursing home. I watched a lot of people sit and die simply because they didn't want to take their medication. The only reason why they died because they did not want to take their medication. And I've seen a lot of people self-destruct. And I knew in order for me to live with this, I had to do something different. I had to change my mindset, change my ways, and change my actions. And a big part of that was acceptance. Accepting the fact that I was HIV positive meant that I had to make some changes. And that big change was being open and candid about my status with other people.
How did you explain your diagnosis to your family?
Well, things happen for a reason. And, my higher power saw fit for things to transpire in a way in which my family found out. My mother found out first. And she was the fact that my mother didn't miss a beat or didn't stop, didn't gasp when she found out by reading a letter to me that I was HIV, that because of my HIV status, I was being denied Social Security. That's how she found out. But she didn't stop, she didn't stumble, she didn't gasp. She kept going. She said, "You want me to tell anybody else?" I said, "No." At that point, I knew everything was going to be fine. I'm sure when she hung up the phone, she probably was devastated, like when I found out. But she was strong, and I have a strong family support system. Initially it took some people some time to get over it, but now my family supports me and are well educated about HIV and AIDS, and they themselves are advocates when it comes to telling other people and spreading the message about HIV and AIDS.
Do you consider being positive with HIV a blessing in disguise?
It's not even in disguise. It's a blessing out in the open, because things happen for a reason. I'm not happy that I have it, but I am proud to stand before you and say I'm HIV positive. I'm part of the most wonderful, loving, and giving community of people. And like I said, it's not even in disguise. It has truly given my life more purpose and direction than I could have ever asked for.
Well, you are a true inspiration.
Well, thank you.
You really are.
Well, I'm inspired by you guys because I think it's a great program of what y'all are doing, and I'm just a firm believer in what you guys are doing. I mean, sometimes doing my advocacy, I think about you guys, and it gives me the force to go forward because I know young people are actually trying to make a difference, and there are people who are a lot older than you guys who are just sitting on their laurels and not trying to make a difference. So I commend you guys for making a difference and making my life so much better, knowing that you guys are fighting for my life.
Thank you.
What advice would you give teens in this day and age about knowing their status and being protected?
The advice that I would give young people about HIV, AIDS, and other STIs is that there are other ways to be intimate with people without actually having sex. Holding hands is a form of intimacy. Having conversations is a form of intimacy. Going out and doing things together is a form of intimacy. And also, it's important for you to say no. And no does mean no. And also, whatever relationship that you establish with someone, set up guidelines. Have open and candid discussions about what you don't want to do and what you're not willing to do. And have those conversations before, like I say, before the shoelaces become untied. And you kind of know what I mean when the shoelaces become untied. We're not going to lay anywhere and just hug because that can lead to something else. We're not going to rub up against each other and do certain things because that will lead to other things. And also, it's very important when it comes to alcohol and drugs because when you're intoxicated, you tend to make irrational decisions. So that's always something you need to be aware of. And also when you go out, and I know young people go skating and go to the movies together. Always have a person with you. Like for the girls, have a girlfriend that believes in the same practices that you believe in. That you believe that you're going to save yourself for marriage. Because in the scope of things, sex is not that important. And a lot of times young people say, well, I love him or I love her. You don't even know what love is. A lot of times you got to love yourself. And you really love yourself, you'll save yourself until marriage. And that's what's most important. It sounds old-fashioned, it sounds corny, but it's nothing fun about having HIV and AIDS or another STI. And having to deal with that. You think, a lot of times you think one moment of fun, it can lead to a lifetime of misery. So that's the kind of advice I would give. Like I said, it's good to have people, hang around people who believe and have the same values as you do. Because a lot of times when you with your girlfriend and she's a little more looser than you, or when you with your cat and y'all do the dare thing where I dare you to see if you can get her pants off, that kind of thing, it's not even about that. You want someone who believes just like you do.
Ooh, you were speaking the truth. Oh, wow. Just feel empowered now. That's just touched right here.
Oh, okay, that's what.
Right there.
I don't want to get too graphic about it, but if I was talking to y'all, I'd just lay it on down the way it's supposed to be laid down.
Shoot,
But
lay it on down.
you know,
no problem with
but
it.
that's the thing, you got to speak the real language, like y'all girls, oh, he got pretty hair, I want him to have my baby, or she got a big butt, she look good to me, so I got to hit that. You're going to come back with more than what you bargained for, and a lot of people don't know their status, and a lot of people think, oh, I'm a kid. They want to be a kid on one level, but do adult things. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm a young. Oh, that's not me. That's for the older people. They get those kind of things. But you're doing adult things. Having sex is not something that kids do or teenagers do. Now, you can explore your sexuality, and there are other ways to explore your sexuality than actually having sex. By having feelings for somebody, having a conversation with somebody, going to the movies with somebody, holding hands with somebody and walking down the street, carrying somebody's books, sitting up watching a movie together, eating together, going out and eating together, laughing, going to the zoo. There's so many things you can do, and you have to learn to set up boundaries for yourself, what you will do and what you won't do, and stick by that. If that means me going home instead of going to the party with my friends, then so be it. I'm going home. If I gotta leave my good friends behind, y'all can call me with chicken, whatever you want to call me. I'll be the chicken today. At least I won't be fried chicken. I'll be baked chicken.